Hey, lady. I'm like 15 minutes from home, so I'm gonna stay off mute and camera.
Hi.
What's for dinner, Jill?
It's leftover Thai food called pad prick pow. It's very
Y'all,
yummy. Very yummy. But I'm going to get rid of my video while I eat because y'all don't need to see that.
appreciate that.
Hey everybody, welcome. Okay. Hey Melissa, nice to see you. Hey Pat, hey Jill, hey Kathleen. All right, so sorry, my Zoom was being weird and it wasn't connecting. I don't know what was happening. So anyway, I have something I'm gonna share with you guys, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of screen sharing as well. Um, and I'll talk a little bit about like some basic principles. Um, how many of you, though, because that was something I was curious about, how many of you have used Canva like at all? Like you've used Canva, you have an account, maybe you've made a graphic. I don't know. Anybody? You can raise your hand. There's the little emoticon thingies or no? Okay. Pat, you've done it before. Jill, you've done it before. Okay, great. Once. Love it. You're like once. So, Canva is interesting. So Canva is free. They definitely have a lot of designs that are reserved for a paid membership. And so when you're on Canva and you're looking around, you'll see a little crown image, and those are the ones that are blocked for paid members. I think I pay like 69 a year, and I definitely held off for as long as I possibly could to pay for it. But I kept getting blocked. Like it was like, oh, I love this. And I'd be like, click on it, and I'm like, oh, dang it. And then I'd like, do it again, but like, ugh, and they do that. I mean, there's a reason. But they also do pay creators who create those. So there is like, it's good to know that like people who are doing the design work behind the scenes, they're getting a little bit of money when people click and use their designs. So that's great. But you can definitely survive on free Canva for a while until you get maybe pickier. But I'm going to show you how to use a template. So a lot of folks they'll offer up like a template, a Canva template. Use my Canva template, and you might see this, I've made a Canva template to do ABC. You can click here and use my template. And so all that a template means is that it's a copy. So you can take their design and you can copy it, and then you can use it, and you could edit it too to work for you. So there are definitely folks who offer up a lot of free templates. I have seen a vision board template that's really nice. um, things that have come across my feed, right, in terms of templates. So I'm going to share a template with you that's free, and I used a free design to make the template, so I know it won't try to have you pay, which is good. And then I'm going to show you the template, and I want to talk about a couple of things when you're searching for things, what you want to look for, and then if you find something in a different format, how you can reformat it. So I'll show you that too. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through some of the basics, and then I'm going to share this template with you at the end so that you can click on it and you can go and make a document, an Instagram. This is actually an Instagram post, so it's sized for social media. to advertise your classes. Because one of the things I noticed was that folks on our team, they want to advertise classes, but they don't know how to. And so, there's a couple ways that you can do that. Having a photo of what you're going to make is the best way. But sometimes you don't have what you've designed yet, like if you're working behind. Or it could be that you're using a kit and you might just want to use one of the Stampin' Up! Images from the kit. So I'll show you kind of some simple ways, hopefully, to do that too. But showing people what you're going to make is the best way to kind of get them, interested in what you're doing. And you can use one template. When you find one you like, you can use it over and over and over again. Because if you find something you like, then, and you've got the fonts and you've kind of got it where you want it, nothing says you can't just sub out the photo and the text, right? And like, okay, great. I like this design. This works for me. And now I'm just going to copy, 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 copy. So, which is easy to do in Canva. So let me share my screen. I will say when I share my screen, the chat pop-ups are a little harder to see. So I'll make sure hopefully that I can see you guys. Let me see if I can pull the chat over here. And then if you've got chat questions, I can at least see them and hopefully it's not going to block me. Okay. Okay, so when you get to Canva, at the front of it, go here. It starts with like, what are you going to design today? You're like, I don't know. So you might want to say that maybe you're just doing a social media post or something. Canva can do a lot more than just this. So just so you know, there's print pieces. You can actually watermark photos in here. You can edit photos. You can create presentations and documents, spreadsheets. I mean, they've added a whole lot of functionality. So just know that you can do a lot here. But let's say I'm going to do a social media post. And it'll kind of guide you through and it'll say, okay, well, what do you want to make? Do you want to make a Instagram post? Do you want to make a story? I usually just do an Instagram post and then I share it to Facebook too because it's fine. These are some popular social media templates. So you'll see, because of the things probably I've searched for before, you'll see some art themed things, some book themed things. And it could be as you're going that you go through and you say, I really like the colors of that design, or I like I like the layout. Like, I think this is really nice. And maybe I could substitute in a few other things in here. So those are things that, you might want to look at it and say, okay, what do I like about this? What do I not like about this? I'll caution you that, like, in terms of like painting and things, like, you want to be careful with the paper crafts because what we do is a little different than like some of these other images, and you don't want to give people like the wrong idea. So I might say crafting as my start. Crafting Instagram post might be something I'm looking for. Okay, that's not helpful. Let me go here because I think I don't like that as much. All right. Crafting Instagram post. Okay. So then, here we're seeing painting workshops, crafting tools, techniques, easy crafting at home. This one just has, whoever's got their sound on, if you'll mute for a second, that would be good. Some of the crafting things look a little juvenile, and then some of them look maybe too, like they're not what we do. This is a pretty generic crafting one that kind of has like washi tape and some general paper crafts. This one I like because it has photos, so we can put photos in here of what we want to work on, and I like the little photo rim. So this is one that we could take and maybe we could adapt. But what you're looking at, and that's the other thing, right, is like I'm also looking for ones that don't have this crown image on it, and that gets a little bit trickier. So one of the things you can do is when you're searching, you can just make sure that that's not something you grab. So like this is kind of cute, but again, I wanted to have something that had a photo of the project. So this is actually the one I decided on, this Art of Leaving one. And the reason I decided to pick this one is I thought the fonts were kind of interesting and it has a photo. So projects, we can go see it. Here is the piece. Um, so I'm gonna try to close a few other windows and see if I can. My computer is lagging, but it's okay. All right, it's coming. The dog's trying to decide if he wants to come in here. All right, so I went in and that piece was actually a flyer. So I went in and I clicked the resize button. Now that is something you have to have paid Canva for. And that was probably one of the reasons why I decided to pay for Canva, because I would find like a flyer, but it wouldn't be the right size for using in social media. But you can resize things. So let's say you find something and you want to resize it for Instagram, or you want to resize it into a square thing. It'll literally take every element and like move them all around and like compress it and put it into the size you need, which is kind of cool. So I've already resized this for you, and I'm gonna zoom it in quite a bit. Whoa, not that much, maybe. All right, let's do this much. And I'm gonna move this. Can you just take a screenshot? Um, so you probably wouldn't want to do a screenshot because it probably wouldn't be very good quality. You could share a flyer. When you click the share button, let me show you that. Let me move this chat. I'm going to try to move the chat somewhere where it doesn't get in my way, which might be hard to accomplish. When you click share, and you click download, you'll want to download it. I always download it as a JPEG. PNGs are like a really high, they take up a lot of space. And so I don't think you need PNGs for anything. So I save it as a JPEG. And you could save a flyer as a JPEG and then put it on Facebook. Facebook is more forgiving with sizing issues. Instagram's a little less forgiving. So for Instagram, you're going to want it sized for Instagram. But for Facebook, you could just take a JPEG of one of these. But you could also save these as a PDF to print them, right? There's a lot of choices you have, but generally I save almost everything as a JPEG. But a screenshot won't have as good of a, like, it won't look as good because you'll be able to see. So all I did for this was I changed the word weaving class or whatever it was to card class. This already said connect with a community of creative women and dive into this creative hobby. Perfect for all skill levels. Like that was already in here. I was like, oh, that's really nice. The wording was already done for me. And then I like the font. And so that's something that like if you're looking in here and you say, okay, um, you start to realize that you're drawn to certain fonts, you can make them your font styles. So you can add like a brand kit and you can pick different fonts that you like that you use over and over again. And that's one of the things that like as you share your flyers over and over font. And then people will know just by the font. So like Erica Serwin's one of the people that really early on I feel like had a certain font in her Pink Buckaroo and kind of all of her advertising. And so you started to see a really consistent font. And I do think that people then start to like identify you. I think this is a really cool font. It's called Tan Meringue, and I think it's really cute. And I think it's not terribly hard to read. I know it's got this weird little A in here, but it's actually a pretty clean font to read. And then this says weekly classes, but you might be doing monthly classes and you might have, a different date and time. And then for more information or to book online, maybe you just say for more information and you put your email address, right? Or your phone number or whatever, wherever you want them to go. It could be that you want them to go to your DBWS because that's where you have the class and that's where you're going to take RSVPs and stuff. So it kind of depends on how you want to function, how you want to force people to RSVP, right? For me, I usually do Google, I have a Google Sheet or Google Form. So for me, that's where I have them go. So if we did want to change one of these font pieces, we just click on this and then you just double click it and you can type. So maybe I say it's not a weekly class, but maybe it's a monthly class. Now there is a Canvas or Canva app, and I like it, but it's a lot harder to type and do things on there. It's great for like downloading the JPEG and sharing it onto your social media and stuff. But if you have a laptop, I think it is easier to work on the laptop than it is on a mobile device. Especially because font sizes and things, I probably need to wear my glasses more, right? So let's say that you don't like this template because you don't like these squiggles and you're like, I don't like them. I think they look really immature. Then you can get rid of them. You can delete them. You just click on them and delete them, hit the delete button. Let's say you didn't mean to do that. You can click the undo button, which is helpful. You can also move them around. You can also change their color. So let's say you like them, but you want maybe different colors. You want, maybe you have some brand colors, so some colors that you use a lot. Maybe you want to pull some colors out of the photo itself. Or maybe you're just like, no, I just don't like it. And instead I want. So those are all choices that you can make. Let's say that you make one and you like it, but now you want to make another one. You can just hit duplicate page and you can play with another one. Or let's say you're worried about making a lot of changes to the original. You can make a duplicate before you make a bunch of changes, which is, I think, always a smart idea. So there are a lot of elements that you can include in these pieces. So they'll have some suggestions for you. So there's lots of different kinds of squiggles based on the fact that we have a bunch of squiggles in our thing. And if I click see all, then I can start to, see more choices, right? And there's lots of stickers and things here. You can search for different kinds of graphics. So let's say you're looking for a coffee cup because you want to do this at a coffee shop. Well, then guess what? Here's a bunch of coffee cups. Now, some of these have the crown, and there's definitely choices, right? So keep scrolling, keep finding cute things. So let's say I like this pink little cup and I want it to come over. And so I'm going to bring it over here and I'm just going to plop it down somewhere and I'm going to shrink it because I want it to come up here. And probably that means I'm going to get rid of that piece. And then let's say that I want it to kind of be on an angle. I think it's cute, but I want it on an angle. Then I'm going to use this little rotate button here at the bottom. And you can just off the page a little bit. Okay. So lots of fun ways could be coffee in a card class or something, but there are a lot of ways that you can upgrade one of these really simple pieces to do what you want it to do. Now, let's say that you don't like this background and instead you want to use maybe one of these photos as the background. Some of them are blocked, but some of them aren't. And so I'm trying to see. You can add any kind of photo as your background, and you could, just literally bring this whole piece over and you could make it become your background. that's really busy, and I don't think I would do that. But you can if you want. I think where you want the attention though is here on this photo. So I brought in a photo from Uploads that was a Stampin' Up image, right, that I had. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't bring in something else. Maybe I want to bring in, sometimes you might see graphics that I make that focus on the paper. So I'll grab this paper and I'll stick it in the box. And so now we know that we're going to make something with this fun paper. I don't think the paper sells as well as maybe an actual card. But when you're taking photos of the cards, you need to make sure that they're kind of far back. So I tend to use images from like the kits collection. So like maybe I'll use this because it's got the little card on it. Or this was one that I uploaded from the puppies, right? And so now you can kind of see, let me zoom in a little bit, but now you can kind of see, oh, okay, I see. We'd be working on a kit, or we'd be working on this really pretty, I like this image a lot. I think this is a really nice kit. So most of those come from, sometimes I'll pull them from the front page, but sometimes I'll pull them from the marketing pieces. So if you have not, let's see, if you have not, I might have to stop sharing for a minute, but I'll show you in a second where they are. But the marketing toolkit for each of the kits is really nice and is a great way to get some of those images. If I was going to use a card image, sorry, one of stuff in your upload section, and when you're working on like 27,000 things like I am, it gets a little hectic and a little busy. So you can put a photo of a card, like a full card. You could also put what we call like a, ooh, not that way. No. You could also drag like a hero shot. So that's like a detail shot that maybe shows, what you're working on. But I would say most people are going to want to see the full, the full piece. But see how like that looks really ugly because it's not sized right, which is why this one's a little better because we can see the full stamped piece on there. So you just have to be careful with the sizing and just have some other, options in case you don't like how that one turned out. Which is helpful because sometimes the other thing I do like to do this, which is take a picture of a stack of cards that we're going to work on. So let's say we're going to work on 4 cards. I'll take a picture of like kind of all 4 of them fanned out. And that's nice because then they can see like, oh, we're going to be making multiple cards. Well, that's cool. I want to do that. So that's a helpful way to kind of showcase what you're going to work on. In other elements that you can bring in. So you have photos, you have stickers, you have shapes. So if you're trying to, bring in a piece, then you can do that. You pause. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. And I'm going to see if you have questions so far. And then I'm going to pull up the marketing toolkit kind of behind the scenes so I can show you where I pull some of this stuff from. Questions so far?
Yes.
Yep.
You mentioned watermarks. So to watermark the copyright for Stampin' Up or watermark our company name.
Yeah, so I can definitely show you how to do the watermark. I just started doing a watermark in Canva. I had a watermark app I used and it was really easy. And then I don't know, apps come and go. And so now I'm 2 apps down and I'm like, ugh. This is annoying. Canva's around. It's probably going to be around for a while. So I was like, fine, I'll watermark in Canva. And so I'll show you how I made a watermark in Canva and then how I'm using it. Um, I don't like it as well as I liked my little watermark app. I think my watermark app was pretty easy. But it's fine and I'm figuring it out, you know. And I think that's the thing is once you kind of figure one thing out, then you're like, okay, what else could I use this for? You know, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this. I'm just impressed with the number of things that are already in there and like the stuff that you can find that you can use that is free and available. And it's not hard to, you know, come up with a little graphic and have something that's nice that showcases what you're working on. And again, like the newsletter, I'm all about like find a format you like, stick with it. Find a font you like, stick with it. Don't go crazy. Don't go changing stuff up every single time. Like, you know, if you're like, okay, this is the one I like because it has a photo of the project, it has the date, the time, you know, it's very simple. Great, then do that and just keep doing that over and over. You know, no, nobody's got time to keep reinventing the wheel. There's no way. So let me find where these are. And I'm going to show you watermarking, so don't let me forget. Uh, Anybody else have questions? I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna
I was
go.
just curious if there's a way to filter out and just see what's free. Like, can you say
There
no
used
crown
to be,
items?
I was looking to see, there used to be, and I think the reason they don't do that is because they want you to buy stuff,
Makes
right?
sense.
They want you to have that, you know, paid subscription.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about that, and I was like, when I was messing around, I was like, you know, I feel like there used to be a filter at the top
Yeah.
that,
It's just to tease you, just
oh
to
yeah.
see the pretty things and then be like, oh, I want that. I'm gonna upgrade. Yeah, no.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and I get it.
Um,
They have a business model to run, you know,
sure.
like, I mean, you know, I don't blame them. And that's why I'm on a pro account, you know, because I wanted all the pretty things, you know, which is not surprising. I will say once you find a creator you like, you can search by the creator and kind of what they make, which is interesting. And so, I have gotten a couple of like ones where I'm like, I really like the style of this. Like, I like how they put things together. And so I'm going to go back and see what else they've done. So you can search the templates by creator, which is really nice.
Okay.
And so I think that's a nice feature. And then you can also star content, which means that you're like you want to come back to it. So like let's say you're scrolling. I will say this, I find it hard to find something again, right? Like I'm scrolling
Mm,
and I'm like, oh, where was that really pretty blah blah?
it's
Never
gone.
gonna find it ever again.
Never gonna see that again.
Never. So let me show you. There's a star feature, and I use it a lot because as I'm scrolling, I'll be like, oh, well, I like this, so I should star it. Or I'm going through and I'm like, oh, I really like how this looks, like the watercolor of this one. So I'm going to star
Mm,
this one. And then I'm going to look at this. And I'm going to say, do I want to customize this? Do I want to preview this? Okay, let me preview it. And so I might go in all a watercolor. I actually want to go see if she does anything else. So now I've clicked on the creator, right? So now I'm going to go in and look at the other stuff that she's made to see like, is she doing more watercolor? Actually, I don't see a ton, although that kitty's cute. Um, but I'm gonna go and see like, okay, does she have other, you know, watercolor stuff that she's making? Is there other things like what I want to add her to my creator list? And what I'm seeing so far, I'm not super impressed with. So I would say probably not. This would not be a follow for me, partly because she's got a lot of other stuff that she's doing. But I do really like this, and maybe I could use parts of this, maybe if we're doing a watercolor class or something. So maybe I'm still going to save it. I'm going to star it. And maybe if I'm doing a watercolor class someday, I might come back to it. I will say that a lot of the art stuff on here is very either kids art or painting specific, like they're really into painting. So when you're looking at these, you're going to see a lot of things that probably don't work. But what I'm looking for is things like this. So I like this because this is really easy to change out the photos, and it's really graphical and it's really easy to read. And so like if I could pop 2 photos in here, take off this for kids thing, maybe don't make this yellow because yellow is not really my color, then this might be one that I would be interested in. So, I'm going to save that one, and it's not one of the ones with the crown on it. So it's one that any one of us could grab. Um, so it's just one of those things where as you're looking through, there's certain things you're looking for when you're looking for kind of like, okay, how easy is this going to be to edit? How easy is this going to be? So here's like another one that looks like that other girl's style again. And this one's got a lot less like paintbrushes on it. So like that would be a really fun, pretty looking, way to advertise, a stamp camp or, something like that. Um, so, all right, let me show you the watermarking. The other thing I'll say, so there's a couple things I don't like about Canva. One is that the photo bucket becomes huge. The other thing is your designs, you just keep like you just end up having so much stuff here. And so there is a way to organize your projects into folders. And it does take a little bit of like maintenance and mindfulness. But for instance, like here's the Instagram post that I made, and it was based off of this like weaving class flyer. But like, I don't need this weaving class flyer anymore because we already made the post from it. So like, I need to be good about cleaning stuff up and deleting stuff, right? If I don't need that anymore, then I need to fix that. Um, so this one was a really good, this one shows you what I did. Sometimes I'll find really nice presentations in here. So I did this for the PTA. And so like really cute little like educational video that this woman made. Super, super cute. I could not make anything this cute. And it has like multiple, when it loads, it has multiple pages, and it's like a full video. I mean, it has like, I don't even know. Like it has like all of this, all these pieces, like a welcome back. And like, I mean, it's made for like a teacher, I'm pretty sure. But what I liked was the graphics. Like that's why I liked it, because I thought it looked maybe closer to high school-y looking, like with a graduation cap and so I actually took this and made this into an Instagram post. This is a presentation, and with the resizing, I was able to get this thing to be something completely different. So now I don't need this project anymore. Um, I need um, I need something completely different. So I've got it as a I've got it as an Instagram post now. I made it into an Instagram post. And then it created all these other ones that have some weird little graphic pieces that I might use for something else. Like this lamp is really cute, and I might make that into something else. But for now, I made this first one into an Instagram post. So, um, when you talk about resizing, you can resize all sorts of weird things into the format you really need it to be in. I don't print a lot of print flyers. Like I don't put flyers up in restaurants and things like that. So for me, like that's not as useful, but okay, let's talk about the watermark. So this is the watermark I made recently, and I found a watermark style that I liked, and I edited it. And so all I did on the homepage was I searched for watermark, and if my delightful, so you can pick a watermark. So now again, right, a lot of these first ones are paid, quote unquote, but you can start to find ones that aren't. And so you have to keep looking, but like you could edit this. And I was looking for something really simple, but I knew it needed to have a couple of lines. So it needed to have like this one actually would be great for us. This says a neutral brown feminine rectangle border photography logo. Okay, sure. But what it can say down here is Stampin' Up! Copyright 2025. And then it could have your name right here. And if you don't like brown, that's fine. You're probably going to have it in either black or white. Now I will say that when it's this really thin line stuff, it's a little bit harder to see. So you might want something that's a little bit heavier of a watermark because our cards are really busy. And so maybe you're looking for something a little bit heavier. This one would be a good one. So let me show you. So we're going to customize this template. I'm going to close the 27,000 other windows. That's the one thing I don't like about Canva is like when you open a project, it like opens a new window. And so next thing you know, you look up and there's like 27 windows open. So Pat Mora. And we can say, let's say Stampin' Up. And when you do the Stampin' Up, you have to do the apostrophe after the IN apostrophe. You have to do the exclamation mark. And then 2025. And then, so I have a hard time with the copyright logo. Like it's hard to find the copyright symbol on a Mac. Like I don't know what this is, but what I tend to do is go Google it and then I copy it and then I bring it over and I put it in here. I know that's a really weird way to do it, but okay. So there, now that's adjusted that. So what that's done, because it's so large, is it's kind of like moved into our Pat Mora situation, but I also think we can make Pat Mora bigger. And then we can say, instead of photography, we can say like handmade by, yay, Pat Mora, lovely. Okay. So what we want to do then is now we've made a watermark, A+. So we're going to download the watermark as a JPEG. Download. Great. Then we're going to go back to the home and we're going to upload a photo. And you can go, I think you can go to the photo editor maybe. I just do a social media design. Like I just make a social media post. And I know that that seems weird, but I feel like I don't really want to edit the photo. What I want to do is I'm actually going to add a watermark on top of it. And so I'm actually going to bring an image on top of an image. So for this, I'm going to wait until my computer catches up with me and how fast I move. And I'm going to take one of my photos of one of my cards that I have recently. Let's see. Oh yeah, let's do, I just did that one. Yeah, that's not enough. We'll do that one. All right, let's do boot. All right. So got this. I'm gonna pull it and I'm gonna kind of make it a little bit bigger so that it fills the space. I'm going to upload that new logo I just made. And I saved that. I think it probably went in my downloads. There it is. And all right. So then we're going to bring this picture on top of this picture, which seems crazy because now we have a pink background. Oh, but that's true. You need the special fun crown icon to do this. There's a background remover. So I'm going to remove the background on this, and hopefully it's going to be smart enough to know. Ooh, wonder if it'll do it. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. So it removed the background. So now we have a watermark that actually works, right? So now we have this. I wonder if there's a way in and then I would just save that as a JPEG. Let's come back over here. I'm wondering if I can remove the background on this one before I save it. Since this was a free file, it'd be nice if like I could automatically remove the watermark or the background on this, and then you wouldn't have to pay to remove it on the other one. Let's find out. And then while that's loading, when I go to stampinup.com, I go to Marketing Toolkit for my marketing images, and all of our kit collections are there. And so under the Marketing Toolkit, then once you click on a kit, there's a couple of things. There's the unboxing video, the PDF, and then there's this shareable image. This shareable image is actually a lot cuter than what's in our store, because it usually has like the Stampin' Up! Logo, and it's usually got like the title of the kit. So if you haven't gone into this marketing toolkit, like for instance, this is fine to see these leaves. I mean, but the shareable image is really, really cute. And so this, you could actually build just a whole post about this Harvest Home Garland Kit, September 25th, 2 to 4 p.m., my house, RSVP by emailing me, right? Like you could literally make this image into, something that you want to post on Instagram just by taking this image, bringing it over into Canva, and putting some font on top of it. So if you see any graphics like that look like I've taken them from here, it's because I've taken them from the marketing toolkit. And if I'm going to use a kit in a class, I'm definitely going to do that because these shareables always are closer and they're a better image of the actual product. And they usually include it like in context. So like in someone's hand or on a table. So if you haven't used marketing toolkit or you don't know why it's there, that's why. Because these are really, really much cuter images, right? Like that really does sell the kit versus just seeing the little boxes. Does that make sense? So, okay, let's see if on here I can remove this background. What happens if I can? Default solid colors. But if I do white, it's just gonna like have a white background. I don't love that. Okay, let me think about this. All right. Questions while I explore an alternative option for this?
So is there a transparency for background?
Yeah, that's what basically the background remover, the BG remover basically makes it transparent, but I don't think there's an actual like transparent background. So I was gonna see on the home page if I can get there, if there's a special in that photo editor, if there's a special watermark feature. So let's go here to photo editor and see the backing that it is. Yeah, that's why it likes that. All right. And because I have the paid version, sometimes I forget the things it can and can't do, right? So, but I think that that is a good, if this is how you want to move forward and you don't have a watermark, app, or you're not using something else, um, then you could definitely do that. But yeah, the background remover is kind of nice because let's say that you have a photo and you don't like the background, or you think that, it's distracting or whatever, then you can use that background remover to take it away. So I think that there's a lot of value in it, in terms of, now I have a weird floating card. I wouldn't use it for this one, but I try to be careful about the backgrounds that I do. Um, but oh, yeah, I wonder if I can do that. Hold, I have an idea. I wonder if I could remove the background for you guys because I have the paid version. Pat, do you like this? Is it beautiful? Would you like it? Maybe that's something I can do for you guys. Just wait. It's like my computer, Susan and I were discussing, my computer's on its last moments, I think. So, good. Okay. Save. Other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I've got a couple. One, going back a little bit,
Yeah.
maybe more so for the sake of the recording, where do the starred designs go?
They go here under templates.
Okay.
Yes. And then here's starred content. So under templates, you can find photos, graphics, the creators you like, and then your starred content.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then the second question, if you don't have a Canva Pro account,
Mhm.
are you limited to how many designs that you can have? Because you were saying like, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to delete that. Or were you just trying to
No,
say like best practices is trying to
try to
keep that as organized and
Mhm.
decluttered?
Yes, there's no limit.
Okay.
But I just, in order to keep myself sane and to find stuff, because unfortunately I have put band stuff in here, PTA stuff in here, right? Like I've got this weird mishmash. And so I was trying to find out that it doesn't really matter if you put them in a folder anyway, they're all going to show up on your project page. So then I was like, well, what's the point, So I don't know. If you like things in folders, there is a folder capability, if that makes your life better, But I will say I use the starred because I'll come back to something and go, man, I don't know that I'm ever going to find a coffee cup snapping his fingers again, So I do use the starred designs quite a bit, just to find, the things I like. And then sometimes if I'm done with that project, I can always come in here and I can unstar it. So
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. And then the other question I had was, if you are a newbie to Canva, I know you walked through the example of how to show off on social media that you're doing a card class. Are there other examples that you feel like Canva can help a newbie with that we can kind of dip our toe in the pool with without jumping in the deep end? I'm not wanting to dedicate money to a pro account yet, but I would like to kind of dabble. I would love to hear your thoughts on maybe 3 or 4 ideas that you have outside of the card class that we could start to brainstorm what a
Yeah,
design or template
so
could look like.
no, that's a great question. So, I use it mainly for advertising my classes. I also have used it for some printables. And so like this is one of the ones, so kind of a way to get people to, I think I talked a little bit about this at Dive In Day. Um, and I called it a lead generator or a lead magnet. It's a way to get people to give you their contact info and you give them something of value. So, for instance, this one is a very cute Christmas card tracker that I made where you can mark down who has sent you cards and who you have received cards from. And I just like to keep track of who has sent me cards. And so this is a really cute little printable PDF. This was someone else's design that did this really cute work. And I like really, really adapted it. Like I added all these little like dots and it was a little bit of work, you know. But I was committed because I really wanted to make this great and I thought people might really like this. So using Canva as a lead magnet is a way to like get folks to give you their contact info because you're going to give them something of value, I think is really, really nice. That's one of the ones I've done. Let me show you one of the other ones I've done. Um, the no, no, the other one I've done that was a nice lead magnet was a birthday calendar. So having people being able to write in birthdays for people they need to send cards to, and it was on one sheet of paper. So it was like, you know, you just print it once and then you hang it on your fridge or wherever. And then you can kind of, you know, add in people's birthdays as you go. I've also done like some top organization tips, a visual, what are the boards? The vision boards, right? That you make at the beginning of the year. That's really helpful. This is one of the birthday calendars. I don't think it's the one I liked in the end. I think I played around with two of them. Um, this was one of them that was kind of a little more boring. It was someone else's like, you know, template that I adapted. But it has like all the months on it. Oh yeah, this was definitely something else. But you know, it had all the months on it, and then they could print it and write people's names in. And then I just made sure it had like C2C stamping on it, you know. So I downloaded this as a PDF and then I sent it to them so that they could print it, you know, and write on it if they wanted. And I think I did some of those before I had the resize option. Resizing is new. Like I want to say resizing's maybe only been around maybe a year. And so kind of if someone made a template that was some funky size, you were kind of stuck with it unless you wanted to like work really hard to like resize it. But those are some other ways that I've used it. So some printable type things, definitely flyers. Um, you know, those have been my main uses is like a lot of social media stuff and then some, you know, some printables, that I've been using. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, good. Um, One of the other ones I did, and I'll show you this one to kind of give you an idea. So I made I don't know if you guys noticed, but I advertised a class and it was the Ghouls Night In class, and I used the DSP as my background, which was kind of wild. But I was able to like zoom in enough to use the designer series paper. Like we get on the website, you can download like a copy of it. And I was able to zoom in enough to like make it work. And I was able to like get the font to like fit in here on the sidewalk and stuff. So like, you know, if there's a piece of a DSP or something that's really, you know, exciting to you, and then I added this shape on top, and that's something I can show you. So you can send things to the back or the front. So for instance, this is the I've now clicked on kind of the image itself, and I can click on position, and I can front of everything. That says my internet is unstable. I know, we're having a hard time. We've upped our internet. It's just struggling. It's okay. It's okay, internet. You can do it. All right, so if you would send it, you can send something to the front or to the back. And so I just sent that little pink thing. So this is the pink piece. You can see I'm moving it around, right? And I can position it by sending it to the back or the front. So you have layers on images. And so if there's a piece that you want to come forward or backwards, then you can do that. So maybe I like this, but maybe I decide that I want to use a different, piece of paper or something. I can take that out or move it to the back. So it's just knowing what position means. And you probably won't need it, but it's helpful to know when you're messing around with these things, what position means. So I'm going to try to. And the other thing is if moving it with the mouse is frustrating, you can also move it up and down with your key arrows. So if you click on something, you can move things with your keys on your keyboard, or you can move it with your mouse. So sometimes I find it frustrating. And the other thing you can do is you can hit Shift and you can highlight. Oh, hey there. You can highlight multiple things and you can move everything around, and you can totally mess everything up, and that's okay, because then you can just do your undo button and go back to when life was better and you had it originally set. And that is why I like the undo button. So, but hopefully this helps a little bit and gives you guys a little bit of perspective on Canva. And I just wanted to give you a little intro. I think, I've seen folks doing all sorts of crazy things in order to advertise classes. And I always want to make sure that, photos sell, product sells, right? Samples sell. We know that's why we do all these shoebox swaps and samples and swaps and things, right? Because we know that when we show people what you make with it, it's way better than if, you're just like, look at this stamp set. Well, okay, great. What do I do with that stamp set? Most people can't even see beyond a stamp set, right? Especially our newbies. So if we can show them what they're going to make, if we can include photos, good photos. And if you have a hard time taking good photos, then use the Stampin' Up! Photos. Use the Stampin' Up! Imagery. Use the Stampin' Up! DSP. They have samples as well. And then remember, you also get that there's the catalog images file where you can download all those catalog images, and it comes in a big zip file. I mean, it's a boatload of stuff. But I like to look through there because there's always a couple of images that are great for using in social media posts and stuff. So like there was one, I forget which catalog it was. Oh, it's this one. So it was like the back cover, and it was just this phone with like these cool pieces, but none of this text was here. And so I used this as a graphic that was like, hey, call me and we'll talk about whatever, I think I said something like phone it in and tell me what's your favorite thing. But like there's always really cute images from the catalog that they put in that zip folder. And the zip folder, I mean, it's huge. Definitely when you're done with it, delete it, get rid of it, but it's a great way. And especially if you have a hard time taking good photos, like if you're like, my lighting stinks, or I don't have a great background, or, whatever. I will say that Carol was here when I was taking some photos the other day, and she's like, that's where you take your photos? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, she's like, I thought you had a fancy setup. So I take my photos on the floor in my office with the lights off. So I open the window so I get natural light. I have a nice wood floor that looks decent. I just make sure there's no dog fur or kibble in the way. And I use that, and I turn the lights off so that there's no weird shadows. So you can't see my head or the shadow of the phone. So I turn the lights off, pull open the blinds. It has to be a sunny day, unfortunately. And that's where I take my photos, is on my floor, my wooden floor. Wooden floors, wooden stairs, wooden fences, wooden tables outside. I'm not kidding. Erica Serwin took like 5 years of photos on her wooden fence. And she would prop the cart up on the crossbar of the fence and take the photos on her wooden fence. And that's where and then when they moved houses, she had to find a new place. But like that's where she took. Wood backgrounds do very well. And natural light is the best, right? And so, if wooden fence, wooden table, wooden stairs, inside or out, or a wood floor, and then just turn the lights off and use that natural light, and it's the best photo. But if you have a hard time taking good photos because of lighting or angles or whatever, then use the Stampin' Up! Images, because that's what they're there for. And they want us to use them. They want us to make graphics with them. They want us to sell their product. I mean, that's the whole point. So don't be afraid to do that. And don't be afraid to take those images and like use them as like the backdrop, or alter them, or add text on top, or whatever. They have great designers. They know what they're doing. They are paid way more money than we are, right? And that's their job, is to make great graphics. And so use the ones you can. So but now you have a way to alter them, and now you have a way to, add some layers on top of it. So, but good. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Was this helpful? Hopefully, yes. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to make sure that we can share this with